Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the STX Weekly, our top five sports tech news stories of the week. Starting episode 49, I have one more. This is my last episode in India. I'm back in Berlin on Sunday. So anybody looking to reach out to Europe, give me a shout. Let's kick off the stories, shall we? I just realized I forgot to share my window. Terrible preparation. All right, starting with our top deals of the week. Um, yeah, we go with Jump. Jump raised 20 million. Jump is a ticketing startup started by Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees fame. It says Yankees legend. I don't know if all New Yorkers will agree to that, but we'll leave it there. Who are the investors? Some good names here: Courtside Ventures, Wool Ventures, MetaLab, Drive by DraftKings, and Mastery Ventures, amongst the major funds. They are in ticketing services, e-commerce, and event experiences. They want to offer dynamic ticketing and want to do some, let's say, disrupt, as the startups often like to use, disrupt the ticketing landscape for sports. That is my dog. Sorry, excuse me. Um, that is Cooper. Okay, next up we have NBA who invests in a AI. Whoops, whoops. Okay. Next up we have the NBA who invests in AI-driven video tracking firm called Videocites. Videocites helps companies track clips across of where basically the NBA stream is being published across different platforms. In case it's being plagiarized, in case there's any piracy, Videocites helps companies track it. Videocites raised 10 million in this deal. This happened last week, and the latest deal is won by sports analytics firm called Danu. Danu raised 3.5 million euros. To be clear, they did it from Cascade Investments. They are a sports analytics technology, basically helping footballers track data. That is our three top deals for the weekend. The only thing I'll say about this is that it feels like there is more investment coming back. Sports tech has seen more deals in the first, let's say, 10 days of March than we have pretty much all through Jan and February. So we'll take that as a plus. More investment news, and this time comes from the Barcelona Innovation Hub. I lightly mentioned this story last week, but I wanted to carry the theme of investment. And also, given the name that's doing the investment, I thought it's relevant to mention, or it's good to highlight on its own. FC Barcelona, through the Barca Innovation Hub, they had their Sports Tomorrow Congress last week in Barcelona. And over there, they announced partnerships with these two companies, Oliver and Visualify. Um, Both the platforms that, well, at least Oliver I know really well. Visualify I've seen. Oliver is a wearable for football, which is like a little strap that you tie around your shin, and it tracks a bunch of interesting data points: how much you run, how fast you kick, how far and you kick a ball, at what speed, and so on. Actually, I don't think they track how far you kick a ball. That's a bit weird. But how strong kick a ball, perhaps they do. Visualify is interestingly a hearing accessibility company. They help people with hearing disabilities attend sports venues. We saw another company called Action Audio who got picked up by the NBA, who do a similar thing in a different way. They come from Australia, and they were picked up by the NBA as part of their Launchpad program. So nice to see companies that are doing interesting things with people with varied abilities, and helping them access their favorite sports. So, but the more important thing, of course, is that this is by FC Barcelona, who are now taking equity positions in startups. There's been a lot of talk. Barcelona had announced a $100 million fund for about 3 years ago, I want to say, for Eagle Eye observers, which didn't really go anywhere, interestingly enough. So yeah, I don't know what happened to the fund, but at least now they've announced a couple of deals. I know these ones were cash for equity. All right, next up, what do we have? We have a innovation partnership on ice hockey. We don't usually see too much work in the ice hockey space, so it's not a huge, let's say, bit of news. we call it a bit of a light news week. But the FC Barcelona, sorry, the ice hockey innovation initiative called Rethink the Rink. It's quite a name, which is a partnership between Covestro, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the ice hockey team, and Carnegie Mellon University. Obviously, brings a lot of credibility in Bauer hockey. When the goal is to improve the safety of shot blocking equipment for players. There's a little video that, if it plays properly, just kind of talks about what their goal for this partnership is. Imagine a hockey puck and it's flying through the air, and this video is not playing well, and it exceeds 100 miles per hour. And it's, yeah, hockey players are in the line of fire, essentially, yeah. And through this partnership, they want to improve the safety of these players. They're using Covestro materials, students from the university, and they will help develop a shot blocker. Interestingly, ice hockey is a sport that we've seen a lot of innovation in. We've seen the NHL invest in the sensor in the puck. I think it was one of the first sensors that is being used in the live sport itself, which was interesting for us to see. And now they're further going into safety, which is another angle that a lot of US-based sports especially are taking quite seriously. So some cool visuals of some students doing some interesting things. Rethink the Rink is the initiative if you are a ice hockey-based startup. That is partnership number 3. Staying in US-based sports, another sports tech incubator. We had a couple of cohorts announced last week. I think in the last few weeks, we've actually announced quite a few cohorts. We did the AO Startups announcement. We did the NBC Universal Comcast Accelerator. They announced their cohort of 10 startups. NBA Launchpad, of course, picked up 7 startups. And now MLS plans its own incubator to help develop the sport in the US, I guess, in partnership with Delta Tray, Sportex Solutions, Ticketmaster, and Box to Box Films. Box to Box are the guys behind a lot of the great content that you see on Netflix, sports content, Drive to Survive, and such. They want their own sports technology incubator, and also kind of combining with their big launch on Apple TV, which seems to have been received quite well. All the reviews I've read, I haven't seen it myself, obviously, I'm not in the US, but the reviews have been good. Let's just say that, yeah. So the MLS getting a lot of positive feedback from their new initiative, well, the new broadcasting partnership through with Apple, and yeah, what kind of companies, what will companies be able to do? They will be able to demonstrate or do a demo at MLS Next Fest, which is a tournament in Florida, and they'll also be invited to present at the All-Star Game and to the MLS Board of Governors. So some serious players that these startups can access. All right, that's the latest sports tech incubator announced. What is my top news for this week? We're actually going to talk about Meta. Yeah, and Meta cutting the price of their VR headsets by a fair margin. Yeah, we've gone down from $1,500 to $1,000. Maybe finally I will buy a VR headset. We've been talking about this for forever, but maybe it's the time, especially if prices are dropping. Why are they doing this? Is because as simple as that, so that more people can get into VR, is what Mark Zuckerberg said on his Instagram. They want to make the access point for VR more accessible, more affordable. The impact on sports, actually, Sports Pro Media did a really nice job. I want to bring them back. Also, shout out to the guys behind Sports Pro Media, fans of this, people who watch the show. I'm sure, or if you don't already, please go check that platform. If you do already, then let them know that I said that they're amazing. Meta cuts the Quest VR headset price to drive adoption and offer a wider audience for the sports sector. As you can see, they have a few games, especially in the NFL. They have some partnerships with the NBA around fitness, which is another access point in sports. So they want to make it as easily accessible for everyone to have their own VR headset, and maybe eventually an AR glass, which is much sleeker in form. And I think Sports Pro Media stake says a lot. Obviously, Meta has invested everything in VR and so any sort of connected, augmented, mixed reality. And logically for them, because they're building a lot of software and a lot of these great applications, um, if nobody's visiting them, if nobody's entering those worlds, those virtual worlds that they're creating, what's the point? It's a chicken and egg scenario, right? So either hardware has to be affordable enough to make this great software accessible, or the software has to drive enough audiences and drive enough critical mass, which allows the hardware price to come down. There is enough audience getting into it, which allows manufacturers to lower their prices. Chicken and egg, as we said. So it might take a while for VR to become mainstream, but at least this is Meta throwing more money at the problem. I saw a really nice piece from Marquise Brownlee, a really good YouTube tech channel called MKBHD. Recommend you check it out. It's got nothing to do with sports. They just generally talk about tech. And he did a really nice piece on Meta and VR a few months ago, which essentially said Meta is they're just throwing money at this problem. Yeah. How do we get more people into VR? Because this is their big bet. This is what they believe is the future. And how do we do it? We just throw money at it. We develop a bunch of cool stuff, develop these really interesting use cases that will bring people in. And now they're just throwing more money at the problem by essentially subsidizing the cost of the hardware, which is the entry point. Will it work? Will it bring people in? I don't know. I've used some of their headsets. It's fun, but I don't think it's anything more compelling than just fun. Not my use case. There'll be younger audiences who want to connect with mixed reality for gaming, especially. Can sports be the driver? I think it can. I think there are experiences in sports, especially on the fitness side, which can help drive adoption and help get to this critical mass that we're talking about. But let's see how this plays out. But at least Meta is making another bold move, and there is certainly impact on the sports industry. All right, that is another episode done. Thanks you guys for joining in. Whoever has, drop us a like, a share, give us a shout out on any channel that you can. We would really appreciate it. The team puts in a fair bit of work to get this news to you. So if you can help us get the word out there, that'd be great. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. We're actually going to take a break next week and try to bring you our 50th episode. It's a small landmark, but our 50th episode in a bit of a revamped format. We might even not do it live anymore, might be able to enhance the production value, do a few different things. So we're going to mess around with this format as we continue to experiment. But what we do know is that every Thursday, I will bring you live news, what's happening what's the latest that's happening in the world of sports tech with a little bit of perspective. All right, that's a wrap for another episode. See you guys not next week, the week after.